Hello Virgo, Virgo rising, and Virgo moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for March 2017. And a quick reminder for you guys, remember these are big seasonal shifts, when I go through the monthly horoscopes. These are things that last for a while, it's not really just for one day. If you are looking for more day-to-day concerns or weekly concerns, I would definitely recommend checking out the weekly horoscopes that I put up, typically every Friday, and they do cover, more of the short-term aspects and angles. And if you, like astrology exclusively, the first half is exclusively astrology, so there you go. And if you'd like to get a session with me, you can always go to my website, integrativemysticism.com. So, what is going on with this month? Well, this month we've got an unprecedented amount of planets surging through Aries, your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, your partner's income, and intimacy. It's a very diverse house. It just does not know what it wants to be. And it all begins this month with Jupiter in your earned income sector forming a wonderful connection to Uranus in this area. This is a breakthrough connection. Remember, Jupiter is currently retrograde in your earned income sector, so we're talking about finding hidden treasures and hidden gems in our own backyard, so to speak. And this is a hidden treasure to be certain. In fact, with Jupiter retrograde connecting to Uranus at this point in time, there may be an unexpected hidden opportunity to boost your income at the office or at home. In fact, because it is coming through a source that you already know. That's the interesting thing about this. It's coming through a source that you know. That's how Jupiter retrograde works, but it's a breakthrough from within. Some of you may have been on the verge of quitting a job or moving on to a different opportunity, and then something this month in the first 3 weeks gives you a reason to stay or a reason to, count your blessings, even if you weren't even thinking of that, because again, we've got a big breakthrough financially. Now, also earlier in the month, we have Venus turning retrograde in this area, where Venus will be retrograde here all month. And Venus retrograde is very different than Mercury retrograde. I've been having to try and tell people in my readings not to try and apply Mercury retrograde understanding to Venus retrograde. It's a completely different beast. With Mercury retrograde, it plays on communications, it plays on technology, it plays on, the mental stuff. Venus retrograde kind of works on more of the emotional side of things. And with Venus retrograde, there are always 3 things to mind. Temptation, insecurity and trust, and instant gratification. Because when Venus is retrograde, it sometimes makes us push for these things. Venus retrograde sometimes goes for the emotional relief instead of the long-term solutions. It can be a little bit more like an animal in that sense. And it's happening in our 8th house. And so all throughout this month, we are going to have to confront some issues with people and within ourselves around trust when it comes to sharing money, sharing business interests, possibly sharing our ties or our connections if we're self-employed, and also dealing with the insecurities and trust issues of everyone involved. And sometimes Venus retrograde can really bring those to the surface and kind of agitate any kind of unfinished business or complexes that are already there in people. So we want to make sure that we navigate wisely. Make sure, again, that we're not putting our money or our time and our energy into speculative spending or speculative investing because we're being won over. It's real easy to be seduced by temptation with Venus retrograde anywhere. And the same thing can go with the intimacy side of things. If we're feeling like we're not having enough intimate attention, or the quality or the quantity of intimate attention is changed, maybe we're not feeling confident in our own sensuality, our own sexual identity, and all of those kinds of things, then we might be tempted to kind of act in or act out during this time. And it's very important not to do either, okay? Remember, when it comes to astrology, you are still in control. How heavily influenced or hijacked we are by these energies depends on us. But this is also just a theme that's also carrying out through this month. Sometimes we can see those issues build up, or issues that were already there come to the surface, and they're just there to be cleared. And interestingly enough, Mars, the planet of action and energy, will also be on the move, leaving this area, softening the impact, thank goodness, and moving into your 9th house, Taurus, the area of travel, broadcasting, groups, communities, as well as government legal proceedings, and higher education. And so we're finding a lot of support coming from these areas because Mars is the planet of honor and action and conviction. So you may be finding that, maybe a legal situation that you're in, or a school situation that you're in where you've needed a lot of support, you've needed some backup, maybe that's where a lot of the stress is coming from. Mars is bringing that back up. Mars is bringing people who are basically going to be standing your ground with you, alright? So you're not going to be in that on your own. This could also be a great time for those of you who are trying to maybe get the word out about a cause, about a need, or something that needs to change in an organization that you work with, or a change that needs to happen with, again, a spiritual community or an academic community that you're in. If you're trying to make some waves for some big, I guess you could say community improvements in these areas, especially because you might be noticing where they're not functioning very well, this is the kind of energy you want to have, and Mars will be your support here all month. As we get into the beginning of the second week of the month, we've got a full moon in your sign. And this is a cleansing moon, it's a clearing moon, it's a moon of endings, okay? And this is the endings that you want to initiate. What do you want to get rid of in your life that you don't want to carry into the rest of this year? It could be tangible, it could be intangible. Whatever we're trying to release will be gone for good because of this moon. And this can actually be a very freeing time for a lot of Virgos who've been feeling like maybe there are some things in our life or some influences in our life that we were worried we'd never be rid of. Whether it's an obstacle on the outside or maybe, again, an internal thing on the inside, we've got this shift from this moon between the 10th and the 24th working really hard to help you get a clean break. So what are you trying to end? What are you trying to cleanse away? What are you trying to release for good? And what should you be working on casting off, essentially, during that time, is what you need to be paying attention to. Now, moving on from that, we've got more activity in Aries. We've got Mercury, the planet of haste, the planet of communications, the planet of speed moving into this area. And even though we have Venus retrograde here, Mercury's going to be speeding up in the best of ways progress when it comes to boosting your supplemental income or getting more money to you and your partner and your family much more quickly. If you've been trying to drum up extra money for savings, or you've been trying to boost sales, commissions, incentives, self-employment income, we're going to be noticing a lot of these things happening a lot more quickly for you during this time. Things are going to have faster results and faster payoffs, especially in the last 2 weeks of the month. The Sun will also be moving into this area around the 19th and 20th of March, where the Sun will stay all the way up until the 3rd week of April. And we're starting to notice bigger payoffs and bigger payouts. This is also a healing aspect, because the Sun does talk about trying to make things easier, make things lighter, take a lot of the venom out of the cobra, take a lot of the pain, out of the stress, and all of those kinds of things. And with the Sun in this area, if you've been combating any issues with debts, any kind of financial obstacles or challenges, we're going to be working on clearing that up, and clearing it up quickly with the help of Mercury in there as well. When we also have the Sun in the 8th house, it's about working on patching up old issues with maybe intimate partners currently, or partners that we've had in the past. We may be trying, it's not necessarily about getting everyone back together, but it could be about getting the water under the bridge so that people can move on with their lives. This can also be a great time for you and a partner to get more time for intimate encounters, and do it the right way, and do it in a way that's mutually satisfying, and do it for the right motivations. And again, it's definitely a time for closeness. As we get closer to the end of the month, we've got a new moon in Aries again here, and this is going to be opening up new opportunities for those of you who are trying to maybe get a project off the ground, get maybe even, again, a personal business enterprise off the ground, Or maybe you've just been hoping for a partner to find a better job. There could be great news about this coming in the last 2 weeks of this month, especially between the 22nd of March and the 5th of April. This is also a good time for those of you who have been maybe hoping to try to cash in on an investment opportunity or get in on an investment opportunity that's going to promise you some long-term security. Now, just again, be careful with that Venus retrograde, though. Don't do anything just because it's going to give you an endorphin boost. It's really got to be for the logic, not the feels. Lastly, we've got Mercury moving into your 9th house and focusing more on the travel and expansion aspects of this area. So those of you Virgo people who've been looking to travel, maybe to make a move, some of you may be thinking about trying to find a way to get into a school of your choice, some of you may be trying to speed up any processes that have been taking too long as far as paper pushing is concerned, broadcasting is concerned. Again, government and legal proceedings, permits, and paperwork that's been taking too long to kind of get done, assessed, processed, and handled and concluded. Mercury is going to be giving it the shot of caffeine. It needs to be efficient and finally move forward. And while it is at the very end of this month, it is also going to influence the first week of April. Yes, we've got a Mercury retrograde going on in April, but we'll talk about that when we talk about April. Enjoy the present and stay present. And I hope you have a wonderful March, Virgo. So that is your forecast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.